Welcome back. Well, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has announced plans to overhaul Britain's immigration system, including ending the right to permanent residency after 5 years. Now, under these new proposed rules, migrants would need to reside in the UK for 7 years, meet higher salary and English language requirements, and face tighter restrictions on family reunification. Nigel Farage says the changes would also prevent non-citizens from accessing welfare.
Under a Reform government, welfare will be for UK citizens only. It will not be for foreign-born nationals. Indeed, we'll become like most normal countries in the world.
And joining me now is Reform Westminster City Councillor for Lancaster Gate, Leila Cunningham. Leila, thank you so much for joining us on the show this evening. Look, this is a huge announcement by Nigel Farage. Take us through what the situation is over there when it comes to the immigration system and especially when it comes to accessing welfare.
Well, I think so. Voters have consistently and successively voted for less immigration into the country, and the Conservatives, who were the previous government until last year, always promised to bring it down to the tens of thousands. And actually, in the worst year that they were in government a few years back, net migration reached 1 million. And that was specifically under Boris Johnson, what we call it the Boris wave. He brought in 3.8 million new long-term migrants to Britain. 96% were non-EU, and that's relevant because people had just voted for Brexit, for controlled migration and less migration into the country. And mostly were low-skilled, Danica. And so right now we have a situation where 800,000 of those are on track to gain something called indefinite leave to remain by 2030. And that gives them, every one of them, full access to the welfare system for life. Half will never work. Many can bring untold dependents. And just those 800,000 are going to cost the country about 234 billion. And I don't know what it's like in Australia, but here, all we hear about is there's not enough money. Taxes are going up. People are working harder and getting a lot less for their money, and then hearing that they're going to be taxed even more. So the economic model's not broken. I mean, just to put that in perspective, 234 billion, that's 4 times the defence budget and 12 times the police budget. And our police has been cut to practically zero. So something has to be done. And I mean, the principle is simple. You earn your rights here. You don't arrive and just claim them.
Look, I absolutely agree. And I was just about to say, I mean, it is, when you hear those sorts of figures, you can see why it's totally unsustainable. And look, it's the same in Australia. We've got so many similar problems. I've got to say, Nigel Farage, he's banked his whole political career on this very issue. How has this announcement been received over there? Because it is quite a bold plan.
You think it's bold, but when you really come down to it, it makes sense. Younger, poorer, larger families are coming in and taxpayers are footing the bill. British taxpayers don't owe a foreigner anything, yet they're paying for them. We have a benefit here called universal credit that's in and out of work benefits. And 1 in 6 of those are foreign nationals. That's 9 billion a year going to people who don't contribute enough to pay it back. And recent migrants do earn significantly less than British workers. And we're not talking about deporting anyone, which people have twisted it. We're talking about if you've been here longer than 7 years. So some people have been on this indefinite leave to remain for decades. Then show your commitment to the country and apply for citizenship. And if you're contributing, you speak English and you don't have a criminal record, you can get a 5-year renewable visa. It's just putting a system in place where we know who's coming into the country is a net benefit. Believe it or not, Danica, you could commit a crime in this country. You could come, claim benefits, commit a crime in this country, and you're not deported. You still keep that indefinite leave to remain. That's got to change.
Oh, look, I mean, absolutely. Look, I do feel for you over there in the UK. It does seem like there's so many problems, and it all seems to be stemming from mass migration. It's a huge issue. Now, look, let's talk about the party. I mean, Reform are doing so well right now in the polls. I know that you recently moved to Reform from the Conservatives. Why did you make that move?
I mean, I was a Conservative from teenage years. My parents' life changed under a Thatcher government. You know, they bought a home, they built a company, and that the Conservatives for me were about low taxation, economic growth, very strong on law and order, home ownership, but they weren't like that at all towards the end. And it was under the Conservatives that we had the Equalities Act, all the transgender issues where, you know, the rights of a woman were completely diminished. We have we have public sectors here that if you grow up white and poor, you're too privileged to apply to. And all this thrived under the Conservative government. They brought the online safety bill, which completely limited freedom of speech under the Conservatives. We had people being arrested for tweets. And worse, Danica, they would stand there and say, we are the party of home ownership, but they wouldn't build any homes. There'd be NIMBYism, I don't know if you have that term in Australia, all across Conservative constituencies. So we have, I don't know if it's the same in Australia, 30 and 40-year-olds who'll never own a home and a state that can't provide for them. Yet they're letting in millions of people and expecting people to foot the bill. And taxes were the highest they'd ever been since World War II under the Conservatives, and public services were the worst they've been.
Yeah, I mean, we can see why, the Conservatives are losing talent like yourself. And also here in Australia, I mean, the Conservatives are losing ground because they're not implementing the policies to actually make a key difference and to differentiate themselves from the Labor Party. So it's happening everywhere. Leila Cunningham, really nice to catch up with you. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this evening. Appreciate it.